Thank you so much, Dr. Allen, for being with us today and taking some time with our adult and youth leadership classes.
Thank you for that very gracious and lengthy introduction. I'm sorry we keep sending out a bio that's long. I'll work with the fine folks at Central Georgia to kind of cut that down.
I love it.
They do all the great work. I get to hear all that said and read out loud, but we have an outstanding team, and they take care of all of Central Georgia, and I'm very proud of them.
Yeah, Dr. Allen, it's no doubt that you are just as busy as we all would assume you are, but I think the thing that I have admired about you over the decade plus that I've known you is your commitment to leadership, your commitment to leading by example and teaching in everything that you do, which is why I was so excited to invite you to be part of our Leading With series. So for the classes that are listening today, I've asked Dr. Allen to share with us the leadership principles that provide clarity in decision making. And I know that you guys are going to have questions. If you will put those in the chat, I'm going to turn it over to you, Dr. Allen, and we are in for a treat.
Thank you, Ms. Bragg, and thank you to your entire staff. You all do a fantastic job taking care of Robins, the entire Robins region, and you are well respected, as are your team members. People think the world of the work you do and the work your team members do. For the class, thank you for being a part of this discussion today. I'm going to make 5 quick points and be out of your way. I'm going to make this as simple as I can. I want to talk today about leading with clarity, being sure that you are clear in your direction and your purpose. And the 5 points I'm going to make are again, fairly simple. They're not confusing, but oftentimes we get distracted. We lose our way. We forget to stay focused. So the first thing I want to talk about, the first point in terms of leading with clarity, is to keep the mission first. All of us, whether we're a high school student, if we're a business leader, entrepreneur, we have a mission. That mission may be a personal one. It may be one that is associated with our place of work, our small business. That mission should guide everything we do. The question we should always ask ourselves as we're making an important decision about employees or colleagues, or just making a hard decision that you have to lead on, is how will the decision I make affect mission accomplishment? You know, I've been out at ROBINS, and I've been at Navison or Houston Healthcare, and been in some very, very difficult meetings at times. And I always come back to the point, we have established a mission. We have said why we exist and what we plan to do with our existence, who we plan to affect with our business products, or where we're headed if we're a high school junior. That's the mission right now. And it should always be first and foremost in your mind. It should guide every single decision you make. The second thing I want to talk about today is that you should value yourself as a talent. You are a talented individual. You wouldn't be on this call if you were not. Someone has seen that talent, and hopefully you see it in yourselves. And as you're valuing your talent, if you're at a job with team members, if you're at a job with employees, you've got to value and assess the talent around you. It is very important in my line of work for me to remember, I will almost never be the most talented or smartest person in the room, but I can be the most effective person in the room if I learn to harness that talent, mine and the talent of others. If I learn to wrap my arms around that talent, love it, grow it, cherish it, not only my talent, but the talent of others, recognize it. One of the most frustrating things for our colleagues, for our team members, for our classmates, is to never hear a person say to them, you are talented, your ideas matter, what you do makes a difference. And I really don't care what a person does inside of an organization. If you cannot recognize them for that talent, you probably don't need them there. If they're adding nothing of value to your organization, to your business, to your aspirational goals, then you don't need them there. So obviously, if you have them there, they are talented and they contribute something. Please don't ever forget to lift them up and let them know. And at the same time, don't ever forget to lift yourself up and to remind yourself, you are here, you have talent, what you do matters, and you are contributing. Now, for every leader on this call, for every person that owns a business, works at a business, you're in charge of someone else's direction. You're leading some other people. If you're a student leader, if you're in your student organization and you're a leader, if you're on your ball team and you're a leader, this is a very important point. Point 3 is extremely important. Always provide clear expectations, but you also have to provide the resources needed for your team members and your teammates to be successful. One of the big mistakes we make in all kinds of relationships, business relationships, personal relationships, friendships, even marriages, is we forget to provide clear expectations and feedback. Relationships will fail if we don't communicate. Businesses cannot be successful without clear expectations. Here are our goals. Win and to be successful if you don't even have goals to strive for, if you don't even know when you won. And so it's so important to have clear and definable expectations. And don't forget part 2. You've got to provide resources for those around you to be successful. And that takes me back to part 2. My second point, sometimes that resource is a kind word. Sometimes that resource is just encouragement to someone else. If you're in a business, sometimes those resources are the tools of the trade. If you own a small business, it's laying out your goals, laying out those resources so that your team members can be successful. And I'm hurrying here. The fourth point I want to make, when we are leading with clarity, and some of you will laugh, some of you may not find this to be helpful, but I want you to think about it after this call and on forward in your leadership roles. And I'm going to say it, I'm a little country boy from the South, so I'm going to say it like I mean it. We must learn in leadership to address foolishness early, often, and consistently. Where I work, we have over 1,100 employees. And I have this saying that about 5% of them are probably off task at any one time. And so if you think that through, we have about 55 people doing something they should not do on every day that I go to work. Every day, about 5%. And most folks in business and industry will tell you the number's probably closer to, you got 80% of the folks doing a pretty good job and another 20 you're working on at all times. But I want to encourage you, if you're in school, in business, if you're a business owner, always address foolishness head on, early, often, and consistently. Let me tell you what I mean. When you see things coming off the tracks, communicate. Now, when I say address foolishness, we never want to be disrespectful. But when you lead with clarity, you can walk in and say to someone, we're off track. We're not making progress here. And you can address that as soon as you see the problem arise. And if the problem persists, you need to persist in addressing it. And then point 3, early, often, and point 3 on the fourth bullet is consistently. What our employees, our team members, our friends, our loved ones don't like is when we're inconsistent in addressing problems. If you will address a problem with one employee but not another, that smacks of that word favoritism, and that can sink an organization. It can sink a group of friends. We all have favorites, but we must treat people consistently. And if we're consistent in our respectful treatment, you will be surprised how many folks will run through a brick wall for you. How many people will come back and say, you made the difference for me. You kept me on task by looking at the mission. You told me you valued me every chance you got. You provided me with clear expectations. And when things went awry or a little astray, you were there to get me back on track. And you did that for not only me, but for anyone else who got off track. And so those are the 4 points thus far. The last point, and I'm almost done, it's 3:45, 15 minutes in, and we're almost done with this portion of our call. 5th, we must, as leaders, when we're leading with clarity in times of trouble and in good times, we must always reward innovation and celebrate success. There are people around us who have innovative thoughts and ideas. Don't be the person to always put them down, to tell them their ideas don't matter, to tell them they're not valued. You must find ways to lift those people who are innovative, who are bringing in new ideas. Through this latest challenge we've had in our country, at my own job, I've looked at situations and I've said, the worst thing I can do when I go back to reopening the campus fully is to do things the same old way. We have learned things during this period. We have learned new ways of approaching problems, new problem-solving methods. We have learned that people can be productive away from a physical desk and a physical building. And so the worst thing I can do is to quell and squash that innovative thought, those new ways of doing things, and say we must go back and do things the way we've always done them, simply because that's the way we've always done them. We must take time, even in a crisis, to look for innovation. And when we find it, we should celebrate it. Again, it goes back to valuing the talent around you. Every chance you get, value that talent, and then celebrate your victories together as a team. I don't care if it's with your friends. If you're a junior in high school, you got friends, every time you win, celebrate. Now, I'm not suggesting that you celebrate in any way that would bring shame or ill repute, but I am suggesting every time you get a chance, celebrate your victories. I've lived just long enough to know there will be setbacks. There will be times that you are not the winner, and folks will remind you of that. So every chance you do win, every time you do reach that great goal, the precipice of this great mandate, this goal that you had in your business, you reach that sales goal, you reach that promotion, take time to celebrate those victories. Your leadership is crucial. It makes the difference to the people who are depending on you. So if you will just remember one day these 5 simple principles. Always put your mission first. Value the talent you have and the talent around you. Give people clear expectations and give them the tools to win. Address problems early, often, and consistently. And then every chance you get, reward innovators and celebrate group success. I believe you can make a real difference. You can truly contribute, and you can bring your organization, your business to the forefront. You're winners, you're leaders, and it's crucial that you understand the difference you make in the final score of any game you're playing. You are the one that wants the ball in your hand. You're the one that wants to take the final shot. And you are the one that will win the game if you can stay focused on the goal, the mission, prepare your people, equip your people, and then just go out and win and celebrate when you do. Ms. Bragg, those are my 5 quick points. I hope I've not belabored them. We got it done in roughly 15 minutes, and I hope there was some value in something I said, something that made sense to someone on this call. Thank you for your attention.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Allen. And we're going to let everybody open up for questions. If they have any, you can type those in the chat, or if you guys want to unmute yourself. I have one question just to kind of
Yes.
Kick us off. So as a leader of an organization, in alignment with those principles that you just laid out for us, what encouragement do you have for leaders, these students who will hopefully be returning in August to a somewhat new normal, or our adults on the call who may be working or not working through this time with COVID-19? What can you say to encourage them when sometimes the leaders don't necessarily have a we don't have a roadmap for what's ahead of us.
Right.
What do you rely on when you're making those decisions when the future is a little bit cloudy or unknown?
Well, one, the guiding principle is, we all got that little person on our shoulder who tells us what's right and what's wrong. And the guiding principle is, for me, being around the hospital business, first, do no harm to yourself or others. In every decision, again, go back to that mission, even if it's just, I'm going to get back into school and get my grade point average where I want it, or I'm going to get reacclimated in school. You just have to stay focused on what are your core principles, what are your goals. And that's important. Don't let others define those for you. Yeah, we got a curriculum in Georgia. If you're a high school student, you got to get so many credits to get out of high school, but your goals are yours. They're deeply personal. What you believe in as a person is deeply personal. Never stray from those. And for those who are a little, I would say, shaky about what the future may hold, I just want to encourage you. There have been these tough times in our history, and each time America as a country has come out stronger. Every time we've come out on top. This time will be no different. There will be losses, and we have to be respectful of the fact there are people around us, and sometimes in our own families, we're taking on these losses right now. But please stay encouraged that you live in the 8th largest state in the greatest country on earth. We are unshakable, immovable, and we will prevail. That's down to the individual. You must have that fortitude of knowing what I said in point 2, your talent and the talent around you. There are good people all around us working every day to make this better, and you're one of them. Everybody on the call, you've got to be one of them. And so please, whatever you do, don't get discouraged and let that discouragement overwhelm you. I've been there. I had a terrible night last night. I really did. Last night was a Sunday night, and for whatever reason, last night was one of the toughest nights since I've been away from my core job, going to work every day and meeting after meeting. It was just a tough night. And when I got up, I thank God that I got up, and I got myself back together, and I said, hold on, let's count everything that went right. I'm up, I have an opportunity to still work. If you are out of a job, I want to tell y'all something. When I got a job at Central Georgia Tech in the 90s, I was in my last week of unemployment. I know that sounds like some storybook stuff. That happened. I was in my last week of unemployment. And this may not matter to anybody else on the call. I had $14 left. And I went to my place of worship and I made what I thought was a deal. I said, God, I'll give you the $10 if you'll let me keep the 4, and I'm gonna stop at Taco Bell. And back in that day, they had the 49-cent taco, the 59-cent, and the 69-cent. And I stocked up that Sunday night, and I ate like a king off Taco Bell. And Monday morning, Middle Georgia Tech called me at 9:15 in the morning and say, will you come to work and be an English teacher? So I've been where we are today in my personal life, out of a job it was back then you got unemployment for 26 weeks. I was out of work for 25 and a half weeks. And on week 26, they sent me my last check for $215. And I got the call that Monday morning. Wow. You can come back from this. This is not the end. As bad as it looks, it's not the end. So I'm sorry, I'm rambling. Let me get y'all out of here.
It's perfect. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think it's important. I mean, just your message about resiliency and us as a country and we as a people. I made a joke in our Robins to Go group the other day. I said, guys, there is a tomorrow and it's going to call for pants with a button.
That's right.
And that was really
right.
just a lighthearted message of encouragement, though, because, it's very easy in uncertain times to, climb in your shell and, eat all the snacks and stuff those feelings away, but knowing that there is a brighter tomorrow. And one of the things that I'm encouraged by in all of this is we have the opportunity, the unique opportunity to reset some things. And you hit on this when you talked about rewarding innovation, because
That's right.
there are some practices that we're doing now and that businesses are doing now that I don't think we'll ever go back to the old way of, and that's a good thing. Nobody wants to be forced into a change, but a lot of times a crisis will get you there real quick, and you learn what you're capable of. And we've seen businesses and individuals and organizations all around us innovating and doing really great things that show us their capabilities and show us a much brighter future that we have to look forward to. So,
one comment on what you just, I'm just glad you made that comment. That was I think a wise comment for this group in terms of innovation and what we have done. We have seen things in ourselves we never thought of.
mm-hmm.
And the mistake would be going back to do it the old way just because that's the way we always did it.
Right.
So,
yeah.
We have any questions?
So we've got one from Raina was asking how you ended up at Central Georgia Technical College. So you gave us a little bit of that, but
Yeah.
If you can just kind of share quickly your professional journey so they know what your background is and what you went to school for, because it's a good story.
When I went off to college, I went off to be an accountant. That didn't work out. About the second term, I walked in and said, I don't want to be an accountant. I wasn't making poor grades. I just didn't want to be an accountant. Got a degree in English and went to work. When I graduated college, I actually went to work at Fort Valley State as an English teacher. And they had one of those setbacks where they had to cut back the department. They switched. It was about the time they were switching from quarter to semester.
Yeah.
They didn't need quite as many people. And I was one of the newer ones. I started at Fort Valley when I was 21 years old. And so I was the new kid on the block. I didn't do everything right, but
last in, first out.
That's right. I was the last in. And when I got out, that's when I first time I started to try to find another job. And I actually ended up working at, what was it? It was back then, it was the Middle Georgia Consortium. It's still called that.
Yeah.
I was actually the Title III coordinator, dislocated worker coordinator. And I went on a trip down to Southeastern Technical College in Vidalia, Georgia, where we served them. And that was the first time I stepped foot on a technical college campus.
Wow. And
from that job, I actually taught K-12 for a while. I've taught in all three systems, K-12, the university system, and the technical college system. And when I left the K-12 job, I went to a private school. That's the job I had. They shut down, and that's how I ended up on unemployment. And the next job I got was at Middle Georgia Tech, teaching English. And here I am today on a call with all these rock stars who are pretending to listen to me. It's kind of funny how it all works out.
I love it. I love it. Well, Dr. Allen, thank you so much for your time. And you did get us out in time for the governor's press conference. And I know you're anxious to hear what he's got to share about our state and moving forward. Thank you so much to our classes, youth and adults, for being with us. We'll make a recording available for anyone who missed it, as well as have that content for you to go back and reference. Dr. Allen, always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.